So now I'm going to walk you through in more depth the different elements of the sweet spot. And as we go, I'm going to point out which items on your sweet spot assessment correspond to each element. And you'll be able, this is a self-assessment, so you'll be able to see very easily which elements of your sweet spot are not well developed. Okay? Most typically when we give this assessment, what we see is people have some areas where they have a 4, but there's not a 5. So if you're not at a 5 in an area, it's a signal that there's work to be done. And maybe if you're at a 3, the good news is that it's just a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done. Do any of you in here fish? Fish? Fisher, okay, yeah. I fish. It's kind of a weird strength that I have, and I'm not quite sure what to do with this strength. But I can go fishing, and I'll throw my rod in, and if I don't get any fish, I'll just move to a different area. But I have a knack for identifying that area, like an intuition of where I can. And sometimes it's just a matter of moving a little bit, like 2, 3 steps to the right. And there it is. Then every time you put your line in, you're bringing out another fish. Okay? That's what it's like with the sweet spot. So if you're at a 3 in some of these areas, it may just be a little matter of tweaking just a bit and moving you over to the right or to the left and then zeroing in on that sweet spot. Okay, so the first element in the sweet spot that I want to talk with you about is top clients. And this corresponds to items 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 on your sweet spot assessment. So any areas that you are lower than a 5 on items 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 means there's work for you to do on understanding your top clients better, understanding those psychographics that we talked about. So understanding your top clients means that you understand their industries, where they work. So you have a daycare center, and you might be thinking, childcare, sorry. You might be thinking, why do I need to know about the industries of my parents that bring their kids there?
I can tell you, I know that naturally I have learned this in 7 years. I can pinpoint them from the door if they're gonna, it's like, I just need the gumption to say, thanks, but no.
Yes, to turn them away and say no.
It's a unique business, and they feel like if they're coming in and want to put their kid there, that we'll take any and every one we can get.
Well, I think it's any business too, because my business is the same way. I mean, there's some jobs where like, oh, maybe I shouldn't take this, and it's hard to turn it down, because like, okay, well, there's at least some money coming in the door there. If I turn it down,
okay.
So what I'm going to do at the time that I just say, there may not be something else that's a better fit. So it's hard to say no. And one client really got mad at me for telling them that.
People don't like to hear no. They think as business owners we should take all of their business and all of their crap that they throw at us. No. No.
All the potential crap, and I said, I don't think we should do business together.
You're going to turn down money?
Yeah. Yes. So that's it. You're no longer in the startup phase of your business. That skill of saying yes to every opportunity that comes your way is no longer serving you. The better skill to have is to be able to say no, and when you say no, be aware of what you're really saying yes to. I'm saying, by saying no to this client or customer, I'm saying yes to having more energy to serve our top clients and customers and more resources to being able to serve those top clients and customers. I'm going to give you a pumpkin plan book because you jumped in there and shared, so thanks. Okay. You also want to understand their demographics. What factors go into demographics? Age.
If they have kids or not.
Income level, household income. Geography. Like me, I'm in a business-to-business type of business. And so I like to know how long business owners have been in business and if they have employees. Because I don't do startups. I know that about myself, so I say no. And I have other people that I send those startups to and do it happily. That's the other thing that helps to say no, is if you can say, you know what, that center down the street.
I've gotten to know my college very well. I know where you should go.
Yes. And then their psychographics, understanding their psychology. So when we are zeroing in on your sweet spot, I'm going to tell you exactly how we do this. It's very simple. Those of you, I think all of you in the room here have been in business more than 2 years, right? Okay. You have a roster of clients and customers that you've served. So we go back 24 months and you list out your clients and customers by revenue that they've brought into the business, money they've spent with you. People vote with their money. Did you know that? When somebody gives you $1 in your business, they're voting for you. They're saying, I like what you're doing for me. Thank you. It's a vote. So we're listing the revenue. So top revenue down to bottom, 24 months. And then we're going to apply that 80-20 principle. We're going to add up how much revenue has come in over 24 months. We're going to calculate what is 80% of that amount. So if $100,000 has come into the business, I'm going to keep it small for just simple numbers here. If $100,000 has come into the business, 80% of that is going to be what? $80,000. Okay, so then you're going to go to the top of your list and you're going to start adding up until you get to about $80,000. And then you draw a line. You've now zeroed in on your top clients and customers. And then you're going to look at that list and you're going to say, oh, Joe. Ugh. I cringe when I see his name on caller ID. You're going to cross him off. He may spend a lot of money with you, but you don't like Joe for whatever reason. He drives you nuts. But then there's Mary. Oh, I love Mary. She's awesome. So yeah, she stays on the list. And then Sue and Tim, they stay.
So even they may not be. So what were you saying? You figure out. So if your revenue's $100,000, you add it all up until you get match your. And it should be about 20%?
It usually comes to about 20%. Every single business that we do this, sometimes it's 18, sometimes it's 21%, but it's around that 20%. It's a law of nature. It's Pareto's law. So with the pumpkin plan, we have a client assessment that's a little bit more in-depth, but one quick and dirty way to identify your top clients is to use that cringe factor analysis. So you just look at your list. If they don't make you cringe, you circle them. If you do cringe, you cross them off. And then it's a matter of talking with your top clients and customers. Does anybody in here get squeamish when I say having a conversation with a top client and customer? Good. Some people really do. It freaks them out. And they won't do this. They stop. Okay? If you enjoy talking with your top clients and customers, you're going to do just fine with zeroing in on your sweet spot. So we have very specific questions that you go to your top clients and customers with. You call them up and you say, I'm working on some things in my business. I'm making some improvements. I would really value your input. Would you go to lunch with me? Or can I take you to coffee and ask you a few questions? Your top clients and customers will be so darn flattered that you care enough to pick their brain. They will happily do this for you. Okay? And then you go and you have these questions. And the questions that we give you are all tied into understanding top industries of your top clients and customers, their demographics, and their psychographics. So I'm going to share with you an example.
I got a quick question.
Yes, yeah.
When you do it by revenue, so some jobs we do, like if we do a video wall, so it's like 6 TVs, the TVs are like $2,000 because they're commercial break TVs and stuff like that, but there's very little profit in it.
Right,
so that
that's a good
job
question.
might be $50,000.
Profit's not there.
But there's not a lot of profit there. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it's usually just once it's done, it works. There's no technical issues after the fact. Whereas we might do a $10,000 job that we would make more in the same amount of time than we would on that. So as far as that goes, we might have that client that does a lot of video wall stuff, but we're not making money. So
yeah.
Should
So
you do
for
it by profit, or can you do it?
You should. You absolutely should do it by profit. So for the purpose of this workshop and to keep it simple, to get people started with this, start with revenue. But when you're aware right off the bat that some jobs are more profitable, even if there's a lower revenue amount, you absolutely need to analyze, go to that second level of analysis, and that's what I walk people through.
Jobs too, again, even on some jobs, we can look at it and say it could be 2 jobs with 2 different customers. And it could be the exact same stuff, but that one customer requires a whole lot more after the final install service for education or user error or just whatever.
Yes.
It's a lot more service calls that
Right.
fall in that warranty period. So I guess it's okay to look at like job costing and say, hey, we made this much money, and then
Yeah, you're going to do great with this. You're thinking through all the variables. The client assessment gets into all those different variables to consider as you're deciding who those top clients really are. So what I'm teaching you in this workshop is just the quick and dirty, get started with it, but you definitely can do that deeper level analysis, and I recommend it. I have a lot of clients in the construction industry, and so there's a difference between residential and commercial. You can have a commercial job that, millions of dollars, but when you look at the profit and the effort and all the stress that goes in meeting those deadlines, sometimes they realize, you know what, these residential customers, I like them a lot better. So it's important to think through those issues.
One of the things we do, and I don't know if this would work for this, is once we do a job, we do some analysis on how much money we have on the job, but we base it on hour.
Uh-huh.
So we can kind of say like, hey, we made this much money an hour on this job, because it took us 10 hours to do it, and this is how much profit we made on equipment and labor. Would that be a good way to go through and look at who your top clients are?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're going to do well with this. You're thinking through that. Good. So I want to share with you with respect to top clients and also understanding, well, let me go to unique offering, and then I'll share a case example with you with one of my clients and how we did this. So unique offering. On your assessment, this ties into questions 1 through 4. So items 1 through 4 on your assessment pertain to your unique offering. So anywhere that you had less than a 5 on items 1 through 4 points to there's work here that you need to do around your unique offering. So your unique offering, again, is your biggest strength, what you have the potential to be the best in the world at. When we go to work on improving our strengths, we will get so much bang for our buck versus when we go to work on improving our weaknesses. We can work forever on improving our weaknesses and get about this much improvement. But when you start working on improving your strengths, it's like this, okay? So an example from my business is webinars. I used to do a lot of webinars in my business, and it helped me to really build my business, but it's something I've gotten away from in the last couple of years just because I've had a lot on my plate, and I had to really trim down where I was going to focus. So I stopped doing webinars, and I'm about to start doing some more webinars again. And I'd signed up for a new training on webinars, and I realized, oh my goodness, in just 2 years' time, the webinar industry has totally transformed. So I signed up for this class, and I'm learning all this new stuff, but it's clicking. It comes to me because it's a strength. If I went and signed up for a class in astronomy, because in college we were talking about that, astronomy, not my favorite class, I would not get any improvement on my understanding of astronomy. So it's all about put the effort on improving your strengths in your business. So we need to zero in on your biggest strengths. Sometimes, actually a lot of times, we don't see ourselves very clearly because we live in our bodies, we are ourselves, and we assume that what we're good at, everybody else is good at. And that's just not true. Who can tell you what your biggest strengths are?
My mom.
Your mom. Moms are good at that. Co-workers, top clients and customers. When you do these interviews with them, you may not hear it. I'll look. I always have my clients write down word for word what their clients and customers are saying to them. And you will never get away with just saying, I did these interviews, Sabrina, and I didn't learn much. Because we dig in, we find things. There's gold in those interviews. And the reason a lot of times clients will say, I didn't learn much, it's because you're hearing stuff that's just day to day to you. But from an outsider's perspective, when I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's how you're unique. That's your strength, and we really zero in. So it'll be in the feedback that you get from your top clients and customers. We'll hear it. Same thing with immutable laws. I do a lot of work on helping business owners identify their immutable laws. Our core values are so much a part of who we are, we have a hard time seeing them. But some real quick ways to tune into what your immutable laws are, your core values in your business, is to pay attention to when you feel most proud of something going on in your business or feedback that you've given. So the other day, out of the blue, Monday morning, I get this email, and it's from a student that I taught at Austin Community College back in 1999. And he says, I don't know why I thought of you today, but you taught that human growth and development class, and I was thinking about some things that I learned in that class today. And he said, I just wanted to reach out and tell you that you taught me some things that are still impacting me today. But there was one thing he said in his email. I mean, that made me feel really good. But he said, what I remember most about you is that you let me bring my toddler to class a couple of times when I couldn't arrange childcare. That totally melted my heart, because I thought, I helped somebody who was really motivated to learn, and they had a struggle, and I helped them. Just let's put that struggle aside, get yourself in class, and we're going to help you learn. That's one of my core values. That tapped into that. So think for yourself, what are the things that make you feel most proud? Those are your core values. On the flip side, tune in to the times when you are ticked. What's ticked you off recently? Something employees have done, something a client or customer has done, because underneath that is a core value that's being violated. Our anger is our signal that one of our core values is being violated. And what we want to do is we want to try to put language onto these top core values and make them a part of our business so that clients, customers, anyone coming into the business knows this is how we do business. My number one immutable law in my business is we attract our top clients and we serve the heck out of them. I don't chase, I don't run after people, I don't cold call, we don't do any of that. If people want to work with us, we attract. If they don't, it's okay, fine, there's other people out there to help them, okay? And I have a salesperson working for me, and that's one of the first things I said is, I don't ever want you in a position where you are running after people and harassing them to buy something from us. No, we don't do that. So he gets that. And you want to hire people who have similar immutable laws to you. Okay, the third element, area of innovation. Remember I said, as a small business owner, you can innovate in one of three areas. It's a forced choice. You don't get to innovate in two. You don't get to innovate in all three. You have to pick one. So there's three areas where you can innovate. Number one is quality. 2 is convenience. 3 is price. I'm going to make this real easy for you. Scratch through price. You don't ever want to compete on price as a small business because you will lose every time. You cannot be profitable when you're cutting prices constantly to undercut your competition. Okay, so take price off the table. So that leaves quality and convenience. A lot of us want to go for quality. That's what I started with. I thought, I am going to be the best coach to small business owners. I'm really good at what I do, and I spend a lot of time trying to improve my skills and be better and better. But when I talk to my best clients and customers, they don't care about all those letters after my name. The post-hole digger, you guys were teasing me about the PhD. My clients and customers don't care about that. What do they care about? Results. And they don't want results 6 years from now. They want results today. Now, yesterday would have been better. Sabrina, if you could have done it yesterday for me, that would have helped. So I innovate around ease, efficiency, and convenience, making things easy to understand, simple to do, because you guys are busy. You're working really hard in your business. You don't need a long list of assignments from me to go out there and do in between meetings. You need one thing that's going to have a big impact on your business, and you need to be taking action on that week after week.
When you say convenient, you mean as far as dealing with your company, not necessarily your product is convenient, but how you interact.
Everything is easy and convenient. Simple, make it easy. That's what we're striving for.
But so it makes sense that you're saying like you have to pick one.
Yeah.
I'm going to struggle with that because I want to be like the safest, best child care center. And in order to do that and like push like education first, it starts to pigeonhole us to be more like a school.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm not serving my community if I'm not open from 6 to 6 because the reason people need child care is to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? And so I constantly teeter-totter back in that, like I get pumped for like a month or two of like, okay, we're gonna, education, our scores are this high, and when I start talking about that to people, it's like, they're just like,
That's what you gotta pay attention to,
Yeah,
what
and
they're really caring
they're
about.
just like, I just need to drop my kid off because I've got a boss that's like, if I'm late one more time, I'm gonna be fired, and so like I really.
Do you know the concept of lagniappe? A little something extra. So if you're convenient, if parents can drop their kids off and you're open when they need you to be open, and that's what you're doing, is you're figuring out what makes it hard for parents and how you can make things easier for them. And then you come in and you say, oh, and by the way, as a bonus, your kids are going to get really good development and education here. That's lagniappe. That's what you add at the end. So when you can't quite pick, when you really struggle, you listen to what your top clients and customers are telling you matters to them most, and those other things that you think are important, you can think about that as lagniappe. That's a bonus. You guys get a bonus because I love improving my coaching skills. But that's not really what you care about. You care about, can she help me be more profitable and free up my time? Bottom line.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm having trouble drawing a line, I guess, between quality and convenience.
Say more about that.
But I guess quality would be like, for us, like in speakers, quality would be, hey, this is the top of the line speaker, it's gonna make the absolute, best reproduction of the recorded music you're listening to. And the convenience would be like, well, it takes forever to turn on, you gotta push 100 buttons and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So
I guess for us,
when you talk,
quality and convenience, I just feel like it kind of can't separate the two.
Would you almost find what your top 20% are looking more for? Like, would they tell you that? Like,
got it.
okay.
You got it.
Like,
This is, when I talk about knowing your sweet spot and how it eliminates decision fatigue, you're talking about decision fatigue right there, because you're like, oh, I can't figure this out. How do I choose?
Right.
You just talk to your top clients and customers. They'll tell you. And it may be that they appreciate that you work with them around their schedules so that you guys are in their homes or their businesses when they're available. Who knows what they're going to tell you? But that's really the bottom line, is what do our top clients and customers say? It comes right down to that. So we don't have to think. We don't have to figure all this out. Okay, so I want to give you an example here of a case study. This is Olivia Prince. She's a realtor in Riverton, Wyoming, where I used to live. She's one of my long-standing clients. She's one of the first clients that I had when I opened my coaching business over 10 years ago, and she's been with me. I can't say she's been with me the whole time. She's left and come back. But loyalty, I mean, talk about customer loyalty. She's was on a conference call yesterday that I did with a mastermind. And I'll tell you too, the only reasons that she's left me as a client over these 10 years is she's a realtor. So sometimes she decided, limited time and energy, I need to focus on some realtor specific training. So she would work with a realtor specific coach, and then she would come back and work with me, which I absolutely encourage that. It's not my goal to make people clients for life. I want you to be independent and take these things out and use them. So Olivia was one of our original pumpkin planners too. And she's one of those early adopters. Pretty much anything that I throw at her and say, hey, I want to learn how to do this. Do you want to be my first client who kind of is my guinea pig on doing this? She's like, I'm there. Whatever, Sabrina, we'll do it. So what Olivia did is she zeroed in on her top clients, real estate clients, her top sellers. And we identified the top 20%, and then she did these interviews with them. And she came back and she said, I don't think I learned very much from these interviews. And I said, no surprise, that's what I anticipated. And we dug into the responses that she got, and sure enough, the reason she didn't learn anything is because it was all familiar to her. What Olivia does really well is she's a people person, and she tunes into what people need. And so time and again, she was hearing her top sellers say, you know that time you sent me pizza when we were moving on moving day and you delivered pizza to our family? Or, you know that time when we borrowed your babysitter so we could pack? You know that time when you sent your other agent to wipe down our house after we moved out when we were moving across the country? And she was like, but I do that all the time. What's the big deal? And I said, Olivia, I don't think other realtors are doing that. And she's like, oh. So what she did is she put systems in place around the little things, So they get to know, she and her team really get to know their top sellers. They ask all kinds of questions that most realtors will not ask. And they use that information as they're planning the moving process and the selling process. One of the questions that we give you to ask your top clients is, if we could give you a magic wand that would make your life better or easier, and we could do anything for you, what would it be? And she kept hearing them say over and over, well, you would move for us. And Olivia said to me, Sabrina, I am not moving my sellers. That's crazy. But what she does do is she makes it really easy for them. She pulls out all the barriers and provides solutions around the barriers to moving and makes it a less stressful experience. All of that came from interviewing her top clients and customers. Now, when we talk about profitability, how does the sweet spot make you more profitable? A lot of her competitors have big billboards in town, and I kind of chuckle inside when I drive through the town and I see these people, because billboards are expensive. Olivia doesn't do billboards. What does she do? She takes her top clients to coffee. It's a lot less expensive to buy someone a cup of coffee than it is to advertise on a billboard. What does that cup of coffee get? Tons of referrals. She gets referrals one after another. And when you're getting referrals, do you know you're cloning your top clients and customers? Like attracts like. You put a billboard up, who knows what you're going to attract with a billboard? You may get some of those really diseased clientele, but when you take top clients and customers to coffee, you get referrals, and you get more top clients and customers because you're spending time and taking the time to get to know them.
I can vouch for that too, because we do direct TV stuff, and so we've tried advertising on Facebook and all that stuff, and that's where every call we got from that advertising, we didn't get a ton, but we got maybe 10 calls, and nobody qualified through the credit check to do it. Well, we get a bonus if the client, does really good on the credit score because direct TV knows they're going to be around. Well, every client that we already have always gets the highest rating on that. So it's like, well, advertising doesn't work. Yeah, they call us, but we can't do anything for them.
And advertising is expensive.
My advertising budget is zero. And people flip when they hear that, but I just don't need to. Word of mouth, and especially my business, is just how I get my customers.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. So here's what Olivia had to say. And by the way, this is a picture of Olivia and I with Mike McCallowitz, author of The Pumpkin Plan. We did a workshop on this a few years ago. She says, it's very rewarding to get to meet with your past clients you've enjoyed working with. I'm reminded of what I love about my career and the people I enjoy so much. Learning where your clients are at in their needs and what they're thinking. It's a great way to focus your marketing. We've learned a lot. We've learned about a lot of small things that make a huge difference for the client, and they are easy for us to implement. We're making those changes based on what our clients are telling us. It's super fun and very effective. So. Okay, third element of your sweet spot. This ties into items 10, 11, and 12 on your assessment. So this is systemization. And if you have less than a 5 on items 10, 11, or 12, that indicates you have areas where you need to improve your systemizing, okay? But don't worry, because once you've identified the other 2 elements of your sweet spot, it's very easy to go in and start systemizing. Promise. Most business owners cringe when we start talking systems. Okay. So systemization ties into how can you deliver your product or service without your direct involvement. That's the first level of systemization. The deeper level is how can you deliver your product or service without any of your involvement. Most of you are not there yet, so just focus on that first question. That's where to start. The second question is how can your company's sales grow without your direct involvement? And how can your company's sales grow without any of your involvement? So I knew I had kind of cracked the code on this in my business when my youngest daughter was born in 2014. She was a surprise. We thought we were only going to have one child, and then there's Karina. When I had my first daughter, I had just started my business, so I didn't have a real maternity leave. It was chaos, taking care of a newborn, starting a business. This time around, I thought, I'm older. This is my last one for sure. I was already over 40. And I'm going to enjoy this. And I got to thinking, one day I was doing yoga. And I used to have a really good self-care routine before I had my second daughter. I used to do yoga. I haven't done that in a while. And it came to me while I was doing yoga that if I had a really good employee in my business and they came to me and they said, I'm pregnant, what would I want to do for them? And it just dawned on me, I would want to give them at least an 8-week paid maternity leave. And I thought, that's what I want for myself. I want a 9-week paid maternity leave where I don't have to run my business. I don't have to worry about things. I did that in my business, and sales continued to come in. And I thought, I've done it. I've got that piece. I don't have all of the systemization in place yet, but I got that piece. So money continued to come in, and it was actually a growth period while I was on maternity leave. So that made me happy. So another client, as a case study, I want to share with you around the value of systemizing your business and what it can do for you. This is Jeff Mcmenemy. He owns Teton Therapy in Riverton, Wyoming. Jeff's another long-term client. He's graduated. He's no longer actively in coaching, but we still do a lot of work together with different things. Jeff is a physical therapist, and he has a physical therapy, occupational therapy business. And the first time I met Jeff, he had a business that was in a small office in the building with a fitness company. And so he had a little bit of office space, and they were growing. They were bursting at the seams. And he brought me into his office, and he showed me on his wall all these charts and statistics. And I was so impressed. I was like, wow, you're tracking all this stuff. That's really good. And he said, yeah, we run our business by the numbers. But we're growing, and he was really struggling around, should I buy a new building or not? And I asked a powerful question on a webinar, and Jeff clicked with him that yes, we need to go ahead and invest in that building. And since then, his business has exploded. But Jeff continued to struggle with one thing. He thought in a rural area, small town, they needed to be the jack of all trades. They needed to serve every type of patient, work with all the doctors they could to send them referrals. And when I introduced him to the Pumpkin Plan, we started analyzing his business, and he has a lot of insurance payments coming in. So we analyzed, which companies, which insurance companies, which patients, and then we dug into which doctors, which were the best referral sources for him, which doctors sent the best patients, what were the specialties that those doctors were looking for, and he systematized his business around that. And this is what Jeff says about pumpkin planning. He says, we continue to reach all-time highs for our business, and it allows me to disappear as I want. I've discovered it's possible for my business to work for me, allowing me the freedom to pursue other interests. I have VPs in place running the day-to-day operations and reporting to me as needed. Business statistics and metrics are delivered to my email weekly. My executive council fills me in weekly on the conditions of each division of the organization. PT and OT directors are in place overseeing the production of therapists. Our business does just fine when we're gone. Jeff and his wife have 3 children who, while I was working with Jeff, they were between the ages of 10 and I think 16 or 17. They've all flown the coop now. They're all in college, building their lives. But while we were working together, it was so important to Jeff and Mick, his wife, that they be able to spend time with their kids and go and travel and do things. So it was his highest priority to get these systems in place in his business. And I will not lie to you, we spun our wheels for a long time. I could not get him to delegate and let go of things, and he was constantly back in the business. But when we started working on the sweet spot and got that in place, we got the systems in place, and that's when he's been able to go away and go and do things. So that's the other value, is that freedom that comes. So how are we doing on time? I want to just kind of quickly help you see where, if you have these symptoms going on in your business, where you are with the problem in the sweet spot. So, random here. Let's see. Come back. There we go. Okay. If you're feeling entrepreneurial burnout, what you have going on is a dollars for hours problem. And you have your top clients figured out, you have your unique offering, so you're bringing in a lot of business, but nothing is systematized. Or you have a few systems in place, but they're not working for you. So that piece, the systemization piece, is what needs to be addressed. So entrepreneurial burnout is a sign that your systems need focus and attention. If you feel price pressure, if you have people complaining when you raise your prices, and when you raise your prices, your worst customers usually are the ones who complain the loudest. Say goodbye. Say, it's all right. See you later. But when you raise prices, what you have going on is that you have your top clients and you have some systems in place, but your unique offering is not well enough developed. People don't understand the value of what you're bringing to them, so you have to do the work on the unique offering. Any questions about that piece? Okay. When you feel ignored in the marketplace, no one cares. I don't think any of you in the room here are in that situation. We see that a lot more with startups. When no one cares, you may have a unique offering, and it may be systematized, but your top clients and customers don't care about it. So nobody's buying it. You think it's a wonderful thing, but your top clients and customers, they don't care. So that means you need to understand your top clients and customers better and what their needs are. Okay, so the intersection here is the sweet spot. When you get your top clients figured out, your unique offering, and you get your systems in place, that's where the money is, that's where the profit is, and it's also where your freedom is. So, I want you to remember, if you're looking at your assessment and you're seeing, wow, I don't have any 5s, or I only have 1 or 2 5s, there's a lot of work to be done. This is overwhelming. No, it's not nearly as overwhelming as you think it is. And if you take small steps in a consistent direction, that will lead you to big results over time. So this is not about having to do huge, grand things in your business. It's about the small steps, purposeful, right steps that you take that will move you forward and get you some big results.